Like, did you know that there are millions of children who are now adults who grew up in divorced families? I was surprised when I first found out how many adult children of divorce there are in the world because growing up, I thought I was the only person. I mean, I knew that I probably wasn't, but it wasn't something that I ever wanted to talk about. As I've talked with adult children of divorce, most of us don't want to talk about it, or it seems like a really difficult topic to talk about. So, Aimee, I just want to have a bit of a chat here. Like, have you noticed that? And what do you think the reasons are why we, as children of divorce, adult children of divorce, find it so hard to talk about this topic?
No, there was a lot of divorce in our
Mm.
generation.
Mhm.
In some ways, my thoughts are a little bit different than
Okay.
yours as
Yeah, go
far
for
as
it.
like where you thought, you were the only one.
Mhm.
When things are more normal,
Mhm.
you don't give it time and attention to
Yeah.
talk about it. You
Yeah.
just accept it
Yeah.
culturally. And
Hmm.
so I wonder if that is part of it. Well, I think sometimes we're not very good at looking at stuff that affects us. I remember a quote being read to me. We are the most over-informed and under-reflected people of society.
Okay.
I think that is part of it too, that we're just not very good at reflecting in our lives, and that so many of our conversations aren't of, this sounds terrible, but aren't of real substance. It's harder work and it takes way more vulnerability. And vulnerability can be very scary.
Yeah, particularly for those of us who or don't trust or we're afraid,
Right, right.
like a desire to sort of distance ourselves from it. So I speak
Yep,
for myself of like, okay, I don't want to bring it up because if people don't already know, I don't want to bring it to their attention. And if they do know, I don't want to sort of reinforce this idea that it's a big deal, like there's something wrong with me
right,
and my family's broken or whatever. So
right.
I think definitely when I was younger, I wouldn't bring it up because I didn't want to put it in the spotlight.
I would agree with that too for myself. That when I had friends who had parents who were still married, I didn't want to talk about my parents who were divorced.
And then I think
Yeah.
there's the thing of not wanting to look like we're stuck in the past. So I remember
Hmm.
somebody saying something to me about like, sure, like when are you going to get over it? Kind of like, when are you going to move on? I could hear what they were saying. My perspective is that it isn't something that you move on from because it is always your story. My parents are never going to be not divorced, and that has shaped me. So that's what I've grown up with. That's my family context. So I don't feel like it's something that I have to move on from, but definitely hear that from people of like, stop living in the past, just accept it. Especially this whole, your parents are happier now, aren't they? And their relationship wasn't good, was it?
Should divorce define us?
Mm.
We reflect on it and we can talk about it and learn from it, and it has shaped us.
Mhm.
What they're really getting at is, are you letting it define you?
There's so much nuance and there's so many different
There
factors.
is.
But I think, my perspective is that is it wrong to let divorce define me? In the sense is it wrong? Like, are you going to let your family, your intact family define you? Of
I
course it
know.
is. We are
Of course
all
they're going to.
drawing from the things that have been part of our life.
Right.
I would say that not reflecting on it actually gives it more power to control you. So to me, it's about
Yeah.
not maybe about being defined by, but being controlled by, right? So I am absolutely have no problem saying I am an adult child of divorce and it's impacted how I view
Interesting.
myself, the world, God, relationships, trust, the future. Like it really has impacted so much of my life. The more that I've been able to process and heal from my parents' breakup, the less it controls me and the less it gets in the way of the life that I want to have, a life of trust and openness and vulnerability and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think
And
it's more
I,
about control than definition.
the control and of defining. Yeah. We've talked before and talked about my parents' divorce came right on the heels of my cancer diagnosis. I just wonder how different everybody's own experience is and how much it defines you. And so it would be interesting to just have that conversation with other adult children of divorce,
Mhm.
seeing how much has it defined them,
Yeah.
how much does it control them, and and I'm sure that all plays into how much they've reflected on it and kind
Mhm.
of worked through things where they're at in it. It happens at a different time and different things going on in our life and different family situations and all of that.
Yeah,
It's so
absolutely.
complex.
Yeah. Yeah, another thing that I thought about was to
Yep.
whatever degree it was difficult for you, like why would you want to go back and talk about that? I think a lot of people kind of connected to like that was a bad time in my
Mhm.
life. So talking about the divorce,
Right.
talking about that. So I don't want to go back there. I don't want to dwell on that. And so for me, it's been helpful to be able to separate, okay, like actually talking about the divorce and how it impacted me can actually help me to feel better. Instead
Yeah.
of just being like digging up all the pain. And it takes the right people and the right setting and the right frame of
Mhm.
mind for it to be a helpful conversation.
Takes understanding that talking about things can help you feel better. Understanding that actually, as we talk about things and we let them out, we can sort through it and we can identify with others and we can get different
Yeah.
perspective and clarity. And, more peace comes and you stand in a different position than you were at before.
When you find somebody who can listen well, compassionately, it can be helpful. It seems many of us, we don't want to make our parents feel bad. And many of
Hmm.
us have been trained through our whole
Yeah.
childhood in different ways, spoken or unspoken, to like, don't embarrass your parents, don't point out
Yeah.
their weaknesses, don't stir up what was
Yeah.
difficult for them, don't give blame or don't take sides. So I think that's
Don't expose the issues, honor them, and you don't want to air the dirty laundry. That's not everybody doesn't need to know this. This is, within our family, this is where it stays, all of those things.
so then we as the children are still protecting our parents from like
Yep.
we don't want them to feel bad. But it doesn't matter if we feel bad. We can feel bad because we're used to feeling bad, but we don't want our parents to feel bad.
Even if they're past, like we're grown-ups, right? I'm going to be 51 years old and
Yeah.
my mom is no longer living, and I
Yeah.
still don't want to say something that would hurt her.
Yeah. I'm not in this context trying to blame this parent or assign blame
Right.
or attack them. I'm trying
Right.
to unpack my story and how it's impacted me, what I
Yeah.
understood at the time, and how, my childish perspective. I think the other thing that came to mind was often children of divorce, we have gaps in our memory where we just really don't remember
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
chunks of our childhood, which is very common for those who've gone through difficult and traumatic experiences. So
Hmm.
it's not unheard of or rare. But then that kind of leaves us with the patchwork memory, and then it's kind of hard to talk about it because you're like, I don't really remember stuff. There's a lot of reasons not to talk about, or reasons why we think we shouldn't talk about it. But I've definitely found that talking about it in the right place, in the right time, with the right
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
been super powerful in terms of healing and even connecting the dots and helping me understand why I'm living the way I am, why I'm thinking the way I am, why I'm reacting, responding the way that I am. And I found that really helpful and very freeing because to me, it says that I'm not actually trapped in the past, but I can move forward.
When I can understand what has impacted me and affected me, I understand better who I am and
Mhm.
why I am the way I am, not as an excuse, but
Yeah.
as in a way to go, okay, this is who this is what has shaped me and who I am now. And I know better how to chart my course for my life. Talked in another conversation about things that I had done to cope with the divorce
Mm.
that created who I am that I'm proud of. My entrepreneurial spirit and my ability to step in and to help people and to figure out how to meet needs that are there. And all of those are things that make me who I am and make me successful in different jobs that I do that are skill sets that are needed. You can just be so much more effective even in jobs you're doing and relationships you have. Super helpful conversations to be having.
Definitely. And good to just
Yeah.
recognize there's reasons why people find it difficult. And then there's actually reasons why it could be helpful. So
Yep.
awesome. All right,
Yep. All right.
let's end that.